In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how we can record a macro using relative referencing. But before we get on to that, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up about saving workbooks that contain macros. So if I try and save this workbook, which contains the macro that we created in the last lesson, notice what happens. Let's click on the Save button. I'm going to get this message pop up. What it says is the following features cannot be saved in macro-free workbooks, and then it has VB project. So basically, Excel is recognizing that we have VBA code in this workbook. And when we have VBA code and macros in a workbook, we need to save the workbook as a completely different file type. So currently, my file is saved as a .xlsx, so the default Excel file type. But for workbooks that contain macros, we must save them as macro-enabled workbooks. And you'll be able to tell if you've been sent a workbook that contains macros, because when you open it, you're going to get a yellow warning message across the top, just letting you know that your workbook has macros and asking you if you want to enable those or not. Now, the reason why this is so important is because you don't want to open a workbook that contains a macro that might have malicious code that will run on your system. So always make sure that you trust the source of where this macro-enabled workbook is coming from. Now, I know that I created this macro, so it's all good. So I'm going to click No on here, and it's going to ask me to resave. So I need to resave this workbook using a different file type. And the file type we need to save it as is this one just here, Excel macro-enabled workbook. It has a .xlsm file extension. So let's select that and click on Save. And my workbook with my macros is now saved correctly. So now let's talk about relative referencing when you're using macros. Now it's worth noting that by default, all macros are recorded using absolute referencing. So what exactly do I mean by that? Well, let's take the example of the macro that we recorded in the last lesson, which basically adds and formats this report header. Now, what about if I wanted to run this macro in a different part of the workbook? So maybe I wanted this header again somewhere down here in row 18. Well, check out what happens if I click in row 18 and run this macro again. We're going to go up to the Developer tab, into Macros, and let's just click Run. Well, it doesn't look like it does anything. What it actually does is it reruns the macro and just puts the heading directly over the top of the existing heading. And that's because this macro uses absolute referencing. So it's always going to run the macro in the cells that you selected when you originally recorded the macro. So because I clicked in cell A1 and I started typing this heading out, it's always going to run that macro in cell A1. So that's not great because it doesn't provide us with much flexibility. If I want to run this macro elsewhere, for example, in row 18, I'm not going to be able to do it with the macro I've recorded in the state that it's currently in. And this is where relative referencing comes in. And if you take a look at the Developer tab in the Code group, notice that we have a button here that says Use Relative References. And what this will basically do when you select it is it will offset the starting cell. So if you've recorded a macro using relative references and you've applied it to row 1, if you then decide you want to apply it to row 18, Excel effectively uses the offset function to work out exactly which cell you want to run this macro in. So that can be really helpful. So let's create another macro and let's record it using relative references and see the difference. Now, the first thing to remember here is that if you want to run a macro using relative references, you need to make sure that you enable this option prior to recording the macro. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a macro that adds two little headings in here, one that says team and one that says total. And then I'm just going to add in some dummy figures for the sales team. So we're going to turn on Use Relative References and we're going to click Record Macro. We're going to give this macro a name. We're going to call this one sales underscore team underscore report. Once again, we're going to assign a keyboard shortcut. This time, let's do Control Shift R. I'm going to store it in this workbook, and let's just give it a quick description. So let's click on OK. So now I'm into recording my macro. I'm going to click in cell A3, and I'm going to type my first heading. So this is going to say team. I'm going to click in cell B3, and this is going to say total. And then I'm just going to add some data. Now let's just apply a little bit of formatting to these headings. I'm going to select both cells, and we're just going to make those bold and give them an underline. Now remember, important to click on whichever cell you want your macro to end in. So I'm just going to put it here in cell A9. Let's stop recording the macro. Up to developer, click stop recording. So let's see the difference when we run our macro now that we've recorded it using relative references. Now if we jump across to the test worksheet, I'm going to click over here and I'm going to run my macro. And this time I'm going to use the shortcut key that I assigned to it of Control-Shift-R. And would you take a look at that? Now the only thing I didn't add into my macro was to resize the column, so I might want to go back and maybe do something like that. But you get the idea. Now it just so happens that where I've rerun this macro is basically in exactly the same cell range as where I recorded it. So what about if I want to run this macro somewhere over here, maybe in column M? Well, let's see if it still works. Control-Shift-R. Would you take a look at that? It does. So I can now basically rerun this macro anywhere in this workbook. So that is the difference between the default, which is absolute referencing in macros, and relative referencing in macros. Make sure you know the difference and have a little practice so that you understand how this works.
If you're not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you get notified about similar videos we upload. To see the full course that this video came from, click over there. And click over there to see more videos from Simon Says It.